This is Saturday, May 10th, 2025. And I'll give a few minutes for people to join. And we were having some technical difficulties. Apparently, YouTube changed the visibility now on all uploaded videos and live streams, and they, by default, set it to unlisted, which means nobody can view it. So I had to mark it as public and restart it. Last week's stream, we had some pretty good dialogue going. I hope we can continue to do that every week. People are asking better questions and they're getting more answers, so I like that. We also had a giveaway last week. I gave away a Pitbull Tactical Mag Holder, and the winner of that was Kevin. So thank you for subscribing. And we will have more giveaways. I just got a new giveaway the other day from 945 Industries. They sent me their concealed carry sling bag to review, as well as a mag carrier, and it's a little pouch, and I'll be giving that away after I do the review. And for those who have seen my YouTube short about the Mantis Titan that was supposed to be released on May 5th, I was informed by Titan, by Mantis, that they have postponed the release of that product, so I still can't show it to you, but keep on the lookout, because that new Mantis Titan X will definitely change the way you dry fire train. It's a product like I've never seen before, and I'm super excited about it. I'm just a little disappointed that they changed the release date. It was supposed to be May 5th. They didn't give me any information on when it's going to be, only that I had to promise that I couldn't show it. And welcome, CIA USA. Welcome everyone to our live stream. We do this every week now, and this is for you guys. If you have any topics you want to bring up, please keep them firearms related. And this seemed to have been a great forum for people to ask questions and share opinions on firearms and accessories, so that people don't go out and waste their money. I like the fact that every week we get more and more questions, so people are getting engaged. I like to have that kind of relationship with my viewers. Again, those of you who haven't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you could kindly do so. Watch as many of our videos as you can, like them, share them, leave comments. The more we get, the more monetization we get, and that allows us to purchase things for you guys. And hello, Thomas from Arizona. I don't know if you were on last week's stream, but we did have someone from Arizona. It's very hard for me to keep up with the comments while I'm doing this because they scroll through very quickly. So I apologize if I miss anyone. Um, I'm curious about what you all think about concealed carry sling bags. And hello, David Rogers. Appreciate you being here. And welcome to one and only Nicole from Arizona. So anyway, I was wondering what you all's thoughts are on concealed carry sling bags. I've been sent a really nice one to review from 945 Industries. I think it's great. I'm not a fan of people using purses and carrying off body, but I just think that the sling bag is a very good option, especially for when you're driving a vehicle. It makes it very easy to get to your firearm. As you get older, you know, holsters are comfortable for the first couple days, but then they start to get very uncomfortable and bother your hips. So I'm going to give this one a try. And I see we got a bunch more people join. Thank you very much. All right, so last week I was asking people's opinions on lever action rifles, and I have it narrowed down to three of them. This is the Smith & Wesson 1854, the Marlin 1894, and the Henry Big Boy. I still haven't made up my mind yet, but you can't make a mistake with either one. And good evening to you too, Aaron. Thank you for joining our live stream. So now, the question is regarding handguns. I definitely am not getting any more 9mm. I have way too many of them. So it would either be 1911 or a 10mm or a revolver. But I absolutely don't have any more reason to get a 9mm. Unfortunately, even though all the cool guns coming out are a 9mm, I just have way too many of them. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the 45 caliber. I've always been a fan of the 45, particularly 1911. My wife and I had a discussion about that last week, and she asked me what calibers are the 1911. It was a great question because if you're old school, 1911, the first thought that comes to your mind is 45, right? However, they are available in 9mm, 10mm, and 38 Super. But if you've been around for a while, anytime 1911 is brought up, you just assume it's a 45 ACP. And 45 ACP is just a great round. I love it. I like 10mm too. But 45 is just, it's got more ammo availability, a little bit easier to conceal than the 10, unless you go into the compact route. So I was looking at the Springfield Emissary. And the reason I was looking at that is because they also have one available in the Commander version with a 4¼ inch barrel. My Colt government model has got a 5-inch barrel, and that's a little big and bulky for carrying, especially concealed carrying. So I'm looking at the Springfield Emissary. It's available in 5-inch and 4¼ 4¼ is just a lot easier to carry. Another nice thing about the 1911 is that no matter what make you buy, whether it's a Rock Island or a Colt or a TSUS or a EAA, 1911 is a 1911. The magazines and the parts work. And for those of you worrying about magazine capacity, you get 7 or 8 rounds on a 1911. carry a spare mag. And if you can't do the job with two mags, you shouldn't even be carrying a gun. I also have a Springfield Ronin 1911. That's in 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter is my favorite caliber, and I love 1911, so that gave me the best of both worlds. Yeah, I'm not getting this. You know, I go to these gun forums, and I always see these people posting, how many mags do you carry? I mean, these people are carrying, you know, 3, 4, 5 magazines like they're going into Afghanistan. Um, you know, even the smaller guns, the compact guns, like I got the Ruger American 45 ACP that holds 7 rounds. With that, I will carry a spare magazine, but like I said, if you can't hit your target with 14 rounds, you shouldn't even be carrying a gun. Considering that, you know, according to the FBI statistics, the typical gunfight is 3 yards away, 3 shots fired in 3 seconds. So, uh, you know, 14 rounds is more than enough. So, like I said, this is for you guys. So, if you guys have any recommendations that you want to make to each other, um, have any questions regarding firearms, um, feel free to do so as long as it's firearm related. And for those who weren't here earlier, um, last week we had a giveaway of the Pitbull Tactical Magazine Carrier, and the winner of that was Kevin. So thanks again, Kevin, for subscribing. We will have more giveaways coming up soon. And let's see, Thomas. Yeah, that is a great carry firearm, Thomas. And, you know, like I said, 7 rounds is not a deal breaker for me. Matter of fact, when I go to purchase a gun, um, the number of rounds it holds doesn't really change my decision on whether I buy the gun or not. And another thing that I never think about, you know, a lot of people are always looking for bargains when they purchase a firearm. When I purchase a firearm, cost is never an issue. I never go into a gun store saying, "Oh, I want to see what the cheapest gun I could buy is." If it's a gun I'm buying, I carry every one of my handguns. I carry at one time or another, and if it's a gun I'm going to use to protect myself or my family, cost isn't the top thing on my mind. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody likes a bargain, and if it comes down to comparing features on one gun versus another for the price, I try to get the most bang for the buck I can, but the goal is never to buy the cheapest gun you can buy. But I am also leaning towards another revolver. Um, I have a Smith & Wesson 686. I have a Colt Python Combat Elite. And if I were going to buy another revolver, I'd probably go with the Ruger GP100. It's built like a tank, also made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. You can't go wrong with that. Um, I just love revolvers, and I have holsters for mine. Uh, and hello to you, Mason. Welcome to the channel. Glad you could make it. But like I was saying, I love revolvers. I'm old school. They never jam. Um, and I do carry them from time to time. Not often, but I carried Colt Python a couple weeks ago. It's my feeling is that if I don't carry the guns I own, then it's time to get rid of them and get something else. At one point or another, I do carry them. May not carry them regularly. I always have a favorite that I'll carry. But if it's not a gun that I feel is worth carrying, I don't own it. I just trade them in for a new one. And by the way, I don't believe in safe queens either. People are always crying about their guns getting scratched, but they're a damn tool. It's like crying every time your wrenches get scratched on it. I have a Colt Python, it was $1,500, and I carry it. My Colt government model, $1,200 gun. I don't cry if there's scratches on it because they're tools. All right, Thomas, after you purchase a firearm, what's your criteria process before you carry it for the first time? That is a great question, Thomas. My criteria would be most firearms, especially semi-automatics, if you read the specs from the manufacturer, they normally recommend 300 to 500 rounds put through them because it takes time to loosen up the springs. And also finding out what ammo your gun likes. I mean, the problem is a lot of people will go out and they'll buy a handgun and they'll get a holster, they'll strap it on the hip, never go to the range and shoot it, right? Well, you'll find some guns are very picky with ammo. Some guns are very fussy with magazines. So I guess to answer your question, Thomas, is don't buy a boatload of ammo. Buy ammo from different manufacturers, different grains. Find out what your gun likes and what it doesn't like. See how many failures you have on each ammo before you carry it for the first time. Fortunately, when you own a lot of guns, you'll carry your other guns until you break in your new one. But that was a good question, Thomas, because some guns just, you can't expect a gun right out of the box to be perfect, right? And the springs are tight, the springs in the magazines are tight, etc. So you do need to break them in. And Josh, welcome to the channel. Glad you just found us. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that. Like I said, we're a very small channel. The only way I can get firearms and accessories to review for you guys is through the monetization. And that's by you guys watching my videos. So turn on your notifications so that you'll be notified every time we have a new video being released. I'd greatly appreciate that. And it wasn't bad today. We only had a couple dumbasses. I'm getting rid of them now. But like I said, this is for you guys. We do this live stream so that we can share information about firearms and accessories. And hello to you too, Eric. Thanks for joining. Yeah, to answer you, to add to your comment, Thomas, I agree with you. Besides being an NRA instructor, I am also a range safety officer. And I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of people at the range that have never taken the gun safety class. They're, you know, pointing the gun all over the place. And as far as cleaning go, I got to tell you, the worst people I've ever seen on the range are law enforcement. Um, you think that because they carry a gun every day that they love guns, but it's just a tool to them. I learned that, and I always made that assumption that they all love guns, but they're not all gun owners. And Josh Bryan, to answer your question, what do I every day carry? I have 3 guns that I normally carry every day. One of them is the Glock 19X. One of them is my Springfield Hellcat Pro. And the other one is my SIG P320. And yeah, to the people that watch the internet news, the SIG P320 has never gone off on me. And I do carry them all, but regularly, like I said, if I'm not carrying the 19X, I carry the Hellcat Pro. That's the gun I carry when I go to work because it's got a micro compact footprint and it gives you the full functionality of a full-size duty weapon in a compact frame, so I like that. And then my SIG. And to add to your question there, Josh, when I bought my Springfield Echelon, which is definitely one of my favorite guns, it was not available in a compact version. So when I got the Echelon, I got the full-size duty version. If that was a compact, I'd probably carry that every day. But the full-size duty one is just a little bulky to carry. I do carry it from time to time. It doesn't get that cold in the winter here in Tennessee, but in the winter you can get away with carrying a bigger gun because you could just put a hoodie over it or something, and you don't have to worry about printing. But in the summertime, all those full-size duty guns, they do print a lot, which is why I am trying the concealed carry sling bag because you don't have to worry about printing. And the one from 945 Industries has got super quick draw on it. It's phenomenal. I'll be reviewing that tomorrow, so look out for that video next week. Yep, the dagger. The dagger is not bad. I got to tell you, for the money, for $250, the PSA dagger is actually a good quality gun. It is not similar to the 19X, but it is compatible with the Glock Gen 3, which I like. And I like the fact that with the dagger, you can, mix and match slides and barrels and frames and stuff like that. What would have really been nice is if the dagger would have made it modular, like the SIG or the Springfield or the Ruger RXM, and put the serial number on the fire control group. That would have made the dagger an awesome gun, because then you'd be able to buy frames and slides and barrels, etc., without having to go through an FFL. Yeah, you know what, Josh, the cheap trigger, you know what, you buy a $600 Glock, and I got to tell you, the Glock trigger is shit. The Glock sights are shit. The first thing I do every time I get a Glock is I rip the sights off and I go with the True Glow night sights. That's a pet peeve of mine with the Glock. And don't get me wrong, I used to be a Glock poster child, and I love my Glocks. But when you're paying $600 on a gun, they got a lot of nerve to put plastic sights on it. And I got to tell you, that just annoys me. Yes, the Glock 19L is really just theoretical. It does not exist. But I do like the concept with the daggers that you can mix and match frames and slides and barrels. That's pretty cool. And Chetson 243, welcome. Thanks for joining. You subscribe to our channel. I'd appreciate it. If you want to put a link to your channel, I'll subscribe to yours as well. And just a regular guy, welcome again. And yes, the 365 Legion is awesome. I'm a huge fan of the Sig Sauer. I got to tell you, after going to the 320, the 365 is probably their best-selling gun now. If I didn't have so many 320s and I had to do it right now, I would probably go with the 365 over the 320. But I don't believe in selling guns unless I'm going to trade them in. And I have no intentions of getting rid of my SIG P320s. And welcome, Freedom 2025. Good to have you. Yeah, if you're new to this stream, we do this every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. And I really enjoy having the interaction with my viewers and subscribers. It's a great forum for people to ask questions. I love the fact that every week the dialogue gets better. The more familiar people are now, they don't feel embarrassed by asking questions. And as long as they're firearms related, you can ask anything you want. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And that's how we learn. I'm old, so I learned from experience over, 40 plus years of playing with firearms. But, we didn't wake up with the knowledge we have today. And if you're new to the firearms world, it can be a little daunting and overwhelming. So I encourage you to ask questions. Okay, Thomas, I will be reviewing the sling bag either today or tomorrow. And I'll be releasing that. And I got to tell you, this sling bag I got from 945 Industries, it really is a game changer. You're really going to want to see that video. And I'm going to try using it for every day now. And what separates it from the other bags out there is that this is made specifically for concealed carry. It's not just a bag that manufacturers sewn in an elastic strap. I don't want to give you too much info, but you need to watch the video. You'll like it. Jeremiah, welcome. And I see that you've been here before too. So to answer your question, do I have any favorites? I have a lot, but I'll give you one of my favorites of each one, okay? My favorite rifle is my Smith & Wesson M&P 15, AR-15. For the money, I think that's a great product. So that would be my favorite rifle. And maybe if I had to go with number 2, it would be my Remington bolt action. If I had to go with a shotgun, my favorite shotgun is my Mossberg 500 Persuader. And that is just a great gun for home defense. And pistol, way too many favorite pistols, but I guess my favorite is my Colt 45 competition government model. And Coffee Man 3, thanks for joining. Let's see. All right, I'm going to answer that question too about the caliber debate. First of all, I think the caliber debate is just asinine. Every time somebody says to me, "What's the best caliber?" it just drives me insane. The best caliber is what you shoot best with. Everybody shoots differently. Everybody has different guns that they shoot differently. whatever you feel comfortable with is the best caliber. Um, I love a 10 millimeter, but I got to tell you, as far as follow up shots, there is no way that the 10 millimeter is going to be as accurate on two, three, four follow up shots as a 9 millimeter will. Um, but again, I will say though that as far as calibers, I don't recommend anything smaller than a 9 millimeter. I'm not a fan of the 380. Um, so for me, the calibers would be 9 millimeter, 45 ACP, 10 millimeter. Um, and for those who like the 40s, I'll give them that as well. And hello, Christopher. Welcome to our live stream. Yeah, the problem, Thomas, is that a lot of those bags are really just bags. But I got to tell you, um, this bag from 945 Industries, when you see the video, you'll understand why it's just for carrying. And Adrian, how you doing, brother? Welcome back. It's been a while since we talked. Um, I'll give you a call this week. It's been a while, and Josh, again, like I said, I'm not a fan of anything less than 9 millimeter for carrying, but um, if that works for you, that's great. I don't really uh, tell people what they should or shouldn't carry. I just want everyone to carry. I don't care what you carry. Um, I don't care if you carry inside or outside the waistband. As long as you're carrying, that's the main thing. Every gun owner should carry. Unfortunately, people that live in those communist states can't carry. Before we moved to the great state of Tennessee, we lived in the communist state of New Jersey and can't carry there. But if you live in a state that you can carry, I encourage everyone to do it. Don't care if it's inside or outside the waistband, just carry. Yeah, Josh, I get the pocket pistol. Me personally, I'm not a fan of carrying a firearm in a pocket. I'm old school. To me, you carry a firearm in a holster. Um, I'm like a 10-year-old boy. I have so much shit in my pockets that if I put a firearm in my pocket, something's going to get caught in the trigger guard. And James, welcome. And you know what, James? Everyone should be carrying in their house. I carry at home. My wife carries at home. Contrary to popular belief, besides being an NRA instructor, I'm also a NRA refused to be a victim instructor. And contrary to popular belief, most home invasions happen between 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So people think that, that happens in the middle of the night. That's not true. So you really should be carrying during the day because you never know, especially now with all the crackpots we have running around and the liberals letting everybody out of jail, especially the illegal gang members. You should be carrying all the time. I keep one in my car in case I forget to take one with me when I leave. I always have one. Yep. When I'm not carrying, as soon as I go to bed, my gun goes on the nightstand. So, and between my wife and I, we have guns in pretty much every room in the house. To answer that question, Josh, um, I I like to open carry personally. We live in the great state of Tennessee, um, and we can open carry or conceal carry. You don't need a permit for that. Um, and I don't buy that too much attention. If you live in a gun friendly state, I can tell you right now, you can open carry in Tennessee and nobody's going to look at you. Nobody's going to give it a second thought. I like the fact that if I need access to my firearm, It's very easy to get to. I don't have to fight with my clothes or my belly to get to my gun. Um, and people that carry a firearm and are printing, that just looks stupid. I can't tell you how many times I walk around and I see somebody's firearm printing, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't you just blatantly open carry it? People aren't stupid. And welcome, Nick. Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining. Again, for those new to the live stream, we do this every week, and this is an opportunity to engage with my viewers and subscribers and answer questions and have everyone share firearm related information. I know a lot of gun channels don't have that interaction. I just think this is a great place, especially for new gun owners that may be afraid to ask questions. There's nothing to be afraid of here. And James, yeah, Pennsylvania, yeah. Before we moved to Tennessee, in New Jersey, you needed a pistol purchaser permit, right? And it came in 3 copies. A copy went to the state police, copy went to the FFL, and you kept a copy. So the local police now, they know what you own because they get a copy of the permit that's got the gun, the caliber, etc. And I bought a Glock 20 10 millimeter that came with 15 round magazines. Well, in the middle of the night, when Governor Murphy signed a bill making anything over 10 rounds high capacity, in December, I got a letter in the mail from my local police department saying, you have till December 28th to surrender your highest capacity magazines, or you will become a Class E felon and we can confiscate your firearms. And that was the last straw. Fortunately, the great state of Tennessee, we have no restrictions. But again, going back to the open and concealed carry, you have to do what you're comfortable with. Now, it does require a lot more situational awareness when you open carry, but when you're carrying a firearm, you should be much more aware anyway. But like I said, I don't care how you carry. I just want you to carry. But I don't buy that debate either that open carrying makes you a target, because I open carry a lot and I've never got shot because I've open carried. Yeah, I agree with you, James. Governor Murphy should definitely be in prison for sending all those elderly people to the nursing homes during COVID and got them killed. Yeah, Freedom 2025. My understanding is that New York has got like 7 round capacity. I agree with you, Freedom. You know, I get so tired of hearing people say that when you open carry, you're going to be a target. First of all, the criminals are cowards. They're not going to confront someone with a gun. And when you open carry, I often wonder how many times I may have been a victim of a crime if I wasn't open carrying. And I strongly believe that there are times that I may have been targeted, but because I was carrying a gun, they just walked away and tried to find somebody else. And then the element of surprise, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So you're carrying a gun inside the waistband with a Kydex holster that could be heard in the next county when you draw your firearm. So much for that surprise. But anyway, I digressed. I apologize for that. I get on a roll sometimes. But again, for those of you who just joined recently, thanks again. We appreciate that. Yeah, level 3 holster. So you know what? I'm not concerned about the retention on my holsters, especially if you're carrying a leather holster. And I'm not going to be doing cartwheels where my gun's going to be falling out. And I would be very aware of the situation. I'm not worried that somebody's going to come up to me and take my gun away. And as far as the open carrying debate thing, again, I'm a data guy by trade. I love analyzing data. I reviewed a lot of data regarding firearms and accidents and firearm deaths. There's no data that shows how many gun owners were killed because somebody took their gun away. Um, there's also no data that shows that people have gotten killed because they ran out of ammo. So, okay, to answer your question, Hank, do I think if people carried guns more, people would get killed? No, I don't believe that. If you're a law abiding citizen, and that's the key here, I'm not talking about illegals or felons or people who shouldn't be carrying. Um, I got to tell you, if I was out in a restaurant or out in public, I'd feel a lot more safe sitting somewhere where the people around me were carrying a firearm than not. And a law abiding citizen is not going to just kill an innocent bystander. I'm telling you. Um, I've seen people do a lot of stupid shit, especially drivers, etc. And I carry my firearm 7 days a week. The thought never, ever has entered my mind that, I should put a cap in his ass for being an asshole. Law abiding citizens don't think that way. So I don't believe that if more people carried, more people would get shot. Let's see. Okay, James, sorry about that. I just saw your comment. Yeah, I got to tell you, the 9mm has definitely evolved a lot in the past 10 years. Like I said, I was never really a fan of 9mm, but I do have a lot of them. And now that they have 147 grain, 9mm is definitely a great caliber for defense. Don't get me wrong. For those of you who've seen my videos, uh, the only reason I'm not a fan of 9mm is because when my dad taught me to shoot as a kid, I learned on a 45 long Colt or a 357 Magnum. So I started with larger caliber guns, but it's definitely not because there's anything wrong with the 9. I just started out with a larger caliber, and that's what I'm more comfortable with. And Thomas, glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you again. And His and Hers Landscaping, hello to you too. Thank you for joining. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel. Definitely would appreciate that. And you know something? I agree with you there, John. Law-abiding citizens that carry a gun definitely have a lower rate of criminality than law enforcement. And by the way, when you look at the gun stats, like I said, I'm a data guy by trade, so I dissect the data. But when you look at the gun stats that come from government agencies like the FBI or Center for Disease Control, what they don't tell you is, first of all, when they say how many people are killed with guns, the numbers are skewed because 67% are by suicide, right? So that already brings it down to under 40%. And then out of that, a lot of them are domestic disputes. But included in those numbers are people shot by law enforcement officers. So, when they say X amount of people died from handguns, well, a good percentage of those people were killed by law enforcement, not by law-abiding citizens. So, and I agree with you. His and Hers Landscaping. Unfortunately, I didn't make up the rule about felons being able to own a gun, but I do agree with you. Um, Unfortunately, I guess when you're a felon, there's no like asterisk that says you're not a violent felon. But I do agree with you. Uh, Somebody that's a felon because they didn't pay their taxes or embezzled money is not the same as somebody that, raped and murdered someone. So, and they shouldn't be in the same category. And I'm sure that there are felons that have risked their lives to help people, but I didn't make up the law. And that's something that they really should bring up to the Supreme Court as well. I mean, if you read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment doesn't say anything about criminals can't carry a firearm. And Bullseye Ben, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate that. And those of you who have subscribed, please turn on notifications so you'll be notified every time we release a video. And 10x shooters, I appreciate your comment. And that's what this stream is all about, right? We're all going to have different opinions, but as long as we respect each other as gun owners, that's all that matters. I don't fault or criticize anyone for purchasing a certain gun or carrying a certain way. Whether I agree with them or not is immaterial. I have respect for everyone, and that's the main thing. Yep, his and hers landscaping. I agree. It's all about God and guns. And thank you, Red Viking. I really appreciate that. Like I said, we're a very small channel, and the only way we can afford to purchase firearms and accessories is from the monetization we get here in YouTube. And the more videos get watched, the more money we get, and that's the only way we can afford to do that. And thank you, 10x. And if those of you who like what we do, you may want to consider joining and becoming a member. Members do have certain perks that the others don't have. Any support we can get, we'd appreciate. Our goal was to have 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're very close to getting 6,000 this month. We're probably going to fall a little bit short, but if everyone can share the channel with their friends and like our videos, who knows, we may make the goal. The goal may have been a little aggressive, but got to have something. And thank you there, his and hers landscaping. Appreciate that. I think what makes this channel different from the rest is that we do have these live streams every week so that we can have interactions with our members. A lot of channels don't do that, and this is a great way to exchange information with each other, share opinions. And as was said earlier, even if we disagree with each other, as long as we're respectful, that's all that matters. And I do try to be respectful. I mean, I don't raise my nose up at people that buy a certain gun. I mean, I understand, guns are expensive, right? Everybody can't go out and spend $500 or $600 on a gun. If somebody buys a Taurus because that's all they can afford, I don't make comments to them or turn my nose up on them. I mean, a Taurus is a very good gun for the money. What I do tell people is, buy the best gun you can afford. If you can save a little bit more money, um, buy something better. But if a Taurus is all you can buy and all you can afford, then go for it. The only gun owners I will make comments about are people who buy high points. I mean, that's just stupid. There's no way I would trust a high point to my life or my family's. Um, sorry, these comments scroll very quickly. Um, Skeeter 454. Is 10 millimeter auto considered a larger caliber than 45? No, it is not considered a larger caliber. A 10 millimeter is .40,000, which is the same as a 40 caliber. The 45 is technically a larger caliber. It just happens to be that the 45 is a very slow moving bullet, and the 10 millimeter is a high pressure round at a higher speed that does more penetration than the 45 does. But to make a long story short, a 45 ACP is a larger caliber than 10 millimeter. I'm going to piss people off about this, but I'm speaking the truth here. To me, 40 caliber is just silly. 40 caliber came about because they took a perfectly good 10 millimeter and they neutered it. They cut the neck down and called it a 40 caliber because the FBI agents couldn't handle the recoil from the 10. So they bastardized the 10 millimeter round, made a 40 caliber out of it. I don't see why anybody would buy a 40 caliber when you could buy a 10 millimeter and shoot 40 caliber out of it. And 10 millimeter is making a huge comeback. It was almost a dead round at one time. And now, surprisingly, they're giving 40 caliber ammo and guns away. They're really that cheap. But again, why would you buy a 40 when you could buy a 10 millimeter and shoot 40 ammo out of it? It's like the argument with the 357 and 38 special, right? You buy the 357 Magnum, and even if you have no intentions of shooting 38 special, if you wanted to, you can. Yeah, and I agree with you, Josh. The 40 should be obsolete. I bought the Smith & Wesson M&P folding pistol carbine rifle, and it was in 9 millimeter. And I would have bought it if it was in 10. And guess what? Now they just came out with it in 10. Didn't come out with it in 40, which shows you Smith & Wesson really doesn't have any commitment to the 40 caliber anymore. 10 millimeter will stop anything on 2 legs or 4. That's what the Alaskan tour guides use for grizzlies. 10 millimeter is far superior to the 40. And for those people that own 40s and they say it's the same as a 10 millimeter, absolutely not. You shoot a full grain 10 millimeter and then you shoot a 40 caliber. They're nothing alike. Yeah, I would agree with you. 10 millimeter or 44 mag in bear country, absolutely. Um, Probably the 44 Magnum, but keeping in mind that other than the Desert Eagle, the 10 millimeter is the most powerful semi-automatic pistol. It's equivalent to a 357 Magnum revolver. So it absolutely makes sense for bear. And like I said, it'll take down anything on 2 legs or 4. And Weenie Beanie, there's nothing wrong with a 45. I own a lot of them. I have the Glock 30. I like that a lot. I have the SIG P320 compact in 45 caliber. I just bought the Ruger American 45 caliber. I have the Colt government model. I'm a huge fan of 45. Do I like the Keltec? Okay. Yeah, I get it that the Keltec is made in the USA with a lifetime warranty. And believe me, you're going to need the lifetime warranty. I bought the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 and I got it for really cheap. I think with the rebate and all, it was under $300. It's in 9mm and it works fine. However, the feed ramp is made out of polymer, and I will guarantee you over time it's going to uh, melt or wear down. And if you look at the Smith & Wesson M&P and you put them side by side, you can't even compare them. The M&P folds sideways instead of over the top like the 10mm. And granted, the Kel-Tec is a couple $100 cheaper, but the Smith & Wesson is definitely worth the money. I mean, unless you're going to use that Kel-Tec as a, a truck gun, not something you're going to use a lot, it's fine. But for regular use, yeah, Kel-Tec does make some great experiments, but I live by the philosophy of, buy once, cry once. I spend the money once, I cry once, and I don't have to buy it again. One thing I hate is having to buy something over and over again. Uh, well, wheel guns misfiring, that's the ammo. That's not the gun misfiring. And Josh Bryan, if you want a really good 9mm, I got to tell you, for the money, the Ruger RXM is a bargain. For $399, which is not even much more money than the Taurus Toro. It's optic ready. It's Glock Gen 3 compatible. It's got a tritium night sight. The trigger's not bad. Um, I think it's a great value for $399. And 10x shooters, my opinion of the Glock 19. I love the Glock 19. Don't get me wrong. The Glock 19 is what started the polymer revolution, and it set the bar for all the striker fired guns. However, when I got my Glock 19X, if I had to choose, I would take the 19X over the 19 any day. I think the Glock 19X is uh, by far the best gun Glock ever made. Um, what I like about the Glock 19X is it gives you the best of both worlds, right? Um, you get the full size frame of the Glock 17, and you get the compact slide of the Glock 19, and it also comes with 19 round magazines. So I just think that the 19X is the best Glock they ever made. So, Spartan Runner, if you just heard my comment, then you know I do like Glocks. I like CZs as well. CZ Shadow is a great gun. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with the 19, but the 19X and the 19X, just so you know, a little history about it. The reason they came out with the 19 is for the military. Glock submitted the 19X to the military, and they lost out to the SIG P320. So Glock decided to make the 19X available to the public, and that is why the Glock 19X is the only Glock that does not come blued. It's only available in Coyote or Dark Flat Earth, whatever you want to call it. Yes, the Glock 19X comes with the 4-inch compact slide of the Glock 19, but it uses the full size grip of the Glock 17. Hector Santana, thank you for joining. Please subscribe to the channel. Yes, if you purchase a 10mm pistol, you absolutely can shoot 40 caliber ammo through it, and you don't have to worry. It'll even use the same magazine. Um, The springs will work. Everything will work. You don't need to do anything. And what do I think about the Glock 43? I don't own one. I've seen them. I've picked them up in the store. I just think that there's better Glocks out there than the 43. And Glock just, has to keep making new products to try to increase sales. You will not need lighter springs in the 10 millimeter to shoot 40 caliber. One time when I couldn't find 10 millimeter ammo, I shot a boatload of 10 millimeter through my Glock 20, and I didn't change springs or anything. So, and these comments do go very fast. So, if I miss anybody, I appreciate that. I apologize. It's hard to keep up with these. So, if I miss your comments, I didn't do it on purpose. I just can't scroll through these quick enough. And it is 1:13. We normally do this for an hour. I'm going to stop this chat at 1:15. Thank you all so much for joining. We do this every Saturday at 12 o'clock Eastern. And it's the same every week, different content, but same as always. It's a place to share information. And if people have questions, this is where they could ask without being ashamed or being embarrassed. And Canik is actually a good quality gun. It's very similar to the Walther. But anyway, the whole reason I do this for you guys. You guys have always supported me, and I feel that this is a great way to engage with my viewers and answer any questions they may have. Again, I'm actually going to put my email address in the chat. If someone wants to ask me a question and they don't want to do it here, you're always free to email me and I'll answer you privately. But we do this every week, every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time. Again, you may want to have your questions ready for next week because the content is pretty much free form as long as it's gun related. I don't really care what the question is. And thank you, Matthew. Have a good weekend as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. Yeah, His and Hers Landscaping. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so yeah, it's been fun for me as well. Like I said, I really enjoyed doing this. I like answering questions. Yes, 10X. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go to Star, we do have Pro Gun shirts available and Pro Gun coffee mugs. So any of you guys want to get a Pro Gun shirt to show your support, just go to my channel, click on the Store tab, and you'll see the Pro Gun shirts and coffee mugs. Thank you, Matthew, for subscribing. And again, always nothing but respect for you guys. I love answering questions, and I like that every week the dialogue gets better and better. More people are asking questions. God bless you too, John James. Thank you. And this is just a great way to acquire more knowledge about firearms and accessories, etc. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I did put my email address here in the chat, so if you guys have any questions you want to ask, you can always email me. All right, it's 1:16 now. We're going to end this chat now. Thank you all so much. Again, please subscribe, share, like, comment, etc. If you like what we do, you may want to consider joining and becoming a member. Love you all. Thanks. Catch you next week.